Hello students, welcome to a lesson through the virtual training center of the Brihanmumbai Mahanagar Palika. My name is Shraddha teacher, and in this lockdown period, since we are not able to go to school, children, we will be doing many lessons here online through the virtual class. So come on, let's proceed to our lesson for today. So children, look at the image on your screen now. So what do you see? You see the beautiful surroundings. You see a lovely natural landscape. You can see trees, you can see grass, you can see clouds, the sky, and then you can see one thing about which we are going to learn today. So this is a lesson in standard 7th English. And that thing, that natural thing that we are going to learn about today is the brook. So this is lesson number 3.4 from your English textbook, which is a poem. Now children, the brook means what? So you can understand here, you can see what the trees are, you know what trees are, you know about the rocks, you know about the grass, you know about the skies. So definitely there is a water body which is flowing here, which could be the brook. Alright, so this is a beautiful poem by Alfred Lord Tennyson, and in a way you can say that this is a story of the brook. Now you must have heard about autobiographies, isn't it? Autobiography means when you are writing your own story. So in a way, here the brook is trying to tell you its own story. So the brook is telling you its story. So now what is a brook? A brook is a small stream. So you cannot call it a river because rivers are large in size. But brook is a small stream, and these brooks flow along, and then finally they go and meet the river. So the brooks are, you can say, those water bodies which go and meet the river. Alright, now before going and reading the poem, children, let us talk a little bit about the poet. So who is the poet? Who's the person who's written this poem? His name is Alfred Lord Tennyson. Now, Alfred Tennyson was a British poet. That is, he belonged to Britain. He was the poet laureate during much of Queen Victoria's reign. So he was the official poet. He was the court poet during the rule of Queen Victoria. And not only in those times, but even in today's times, he remains one of the most popular British poets. So, of all the poets which have been or lived in Britain, Alfred Lord Tennyson is still very, very popular. So, people still read his poems. Okay, they still appreciate his poems. In 1829, Tennyson was awarded the Chancellor's Gold Medal at Cambridge for one of his first pieces, that is Timbuktu. So he wrote a poem called Timbuktu, and for that he was given a gold medal. So this is just one of his many different achievements. So let us see what the poem is and what story the brook has to tell about itself. Now before we start the poem, children, let me tell you that it is a long one. Okay, so I will read the poem and I will try to show you pictures wherever possible, and I will also try to explain the lines of the poem to you. So come on, let's go and let's start with reading the poem. So what is the name of the poem? The Brook. So everywhere on each page I have kept a small brook for you to see in the corner. Okay, in the left hand corner I've kept a small brook so that you can look at it and you can realize what the meaning of a brook is. So come on, I'm going to mark the line which I'm reading with a star. So so you can understand where I am. You can at the same time open your English textbooks and read with me. Alright, so come on, let me start. So what is the name of the lesson? It is a 3.4, the brook. I come from haunts of coot and hern. Now, coot and hern are types of birds, okay, which are water birds, you can say. So I come from haunts. Haunts means gatherings where there are lots of these birds. I make a sudden sally and sparkle out among the ferns. So you know what are ferns? Ferns are these kind of grass. Okay, to bicker down a valley. So I come flowing and I take turns, and I also go through the fern. I flow where there are birds, and then I go down a valley. Next line. By 30 hills I hurry down or slip between the ridges. Now, what are ridges? Ridges are narrow paths along the mountains. Okay, so 30 hills I hurry down. So I cross so many hills and I come. The brook or the stream, it crosses so many different hills and it comes between the ridges also. We are going to look at some meanings later. By 20 thorps, a little town, and half 100 bridges. So it passes 20 thorps. Thorps means small villages where there are very few houses. It passes a town also, and it goes under half 100 bridges. Okay, so these are all the places that the brook crosses before it reaches the river. It goes through places where there are birds, it goes through places where there are fern, it goes down a valley, it runs along the hills between the ridges, by the thorps, through the little town, and under so many hundred bridges also. Next line. Till last by Philip's farm I flow. So there is someone called Philip. So it goes by Philip's farm also to join the brimming river. So the river also always has got so much water. It already has got so much water. It is already brimming. The water is about to overflow. But the brook, the stream, nevertheless, it goes and it joins the river. For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. So men may come and men may go means people are born and people die. Okay, but the river, the stream, it goes on flowing. For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. Okay, moving on to the next lines of the poem. I chatter over stony ways where there are stones. I chatter means I make a noise in little sharps and trebles. So I make small sounds and I also make shrill sounds sometimes, big sounds. I bubble into eddying bays. I babble on the pebbles. So I bubble when there are eddying. Eddying means when water is going in a circle. So there I go and I become a bubble. And also I babble, I means I make noise. Okay, babbling is a quality of human beings. People who go on talking continuously at a fast speed, we say that they are babbling. But here the brook is also saying that it babbles. With many a curve my banks I fret, by many a field and fallow. So field and fallow means open farmlands. So it not only curves through the birds or through the ferns, but it also goes through the fields and fallows. And many a fairy foreland set with willow weed and mallow. So what is willow weed and mallow? It is these kind of beautiful small plants which can also be called as weeds, unnecessary plants. But at the same time, they look very beautiful also. So sometimes in the fields, you will see these kind of weeds, you will see these kind of wallow. So the brook, it flows through these places also. Okay. I chatter as I flow. So I make a lot of sound when I flow. I do not flow silently. I chatter as I flow to join the brimming river. So where do I go? Finally, after doing all this, where do I go? I go to join the brimming river. For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. So men come and men go, but then I go on forever. I will always, always keep flowing. That is what the Brook wants to tell us. Okay, let's move on and read the next few lines of the poem. I wind about and in and out. So wind about means I take turns and I go. With here a blossom sailing. A blossom sailing means a flower falls into the stream or into the brook, and the flower also sails along with the water which is there in the brook. And here and there a lusty trout. Now, what is a trout, children? A trout is a kind of a fish which is found, okay, in fresh water. Now, we all know that brooks means they are streams, so there is fresh water in them. And here and there a lusty trout, and here and there a grayling. Now, graylings are also a kind of freshwater fish. So in the water, what can you see? You can see some blossoms or some flowers sailing. Along with that, you can also see different kind of fish in the water, in the brook. Okay? And here and there, a foamy flake upon me as I travel. So sometimes there is a foam when it passes over the stones, when it passes over the rock, you will see some kind of foam. Foam means when you lather soap, when you put soap in water and when you rub it properly, there is one kind of, you can say, foam. Okay, the same way sometimes there is foam also in the water of the brook. With many a silvery water break above the golden gravel. So sometimes the gravel or the sand is golden in color. All right. And the water is silvery in color. The water shines like silver. And if you look below the water, under the brook, you will see at the bottom, there is golden color gravel. All right. And draw them all along and flow. But I take all these things along with me, says the brook, to join the brimming river. For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. So the same lines are repeated, see, at the end of each page. For men may come and men may go. That means people might live, people might die. I don't care. I keep on flowing and joining the river. That means the brook is something which is permanent on this earth. That means nature is something which is permanently there on the earth. We people, human beings, we are temporary. Today we are alive, tomorrow we'll all be dead. But the rivers, the mountains, they will be as it is wherever they are. That is the beauty of nature. Then let's go to the next, last part of the poem. I slip, I slide, I gloom, I glance. So the river cannot do all this, okay? The river is not a human being. There is a lot of personification over here. Personification means it is said when you read the lines of the poem, you will feel that you're talking about a human being and not about a non-living thing. That is, a river is a non-living thing. It doesn't have life. It says that I slip and I slide and I gloom. That is, I get sad sometimes and I look around among my skimming swallows. I make the netted sunbeam dance against my sandy shallows. So I also allow the sun rays to enter into me and also dance on the sand below me. So the brook is talking about itself over here. It is talking about its life, okay, and how even though it doesn't have a life, all right, it is a inanimate object, it is a non-living thing, but the poet has described it in such a manner that you will actually feel that the brook has got a life of itself. I murmur under moons and stars. Murmuring means making a sound with your mouth. In brambly wilderness. Brambly means what? Where there is a lot of, you say, thorns. When there are very lot of thorny bushes. So that is called as brambly. Wilderness means wild area or a forest area. I linger by my shingly bars. I loiter around my cresses. That means sometimes I flow very fast and sometimes I linger and I loiter. Linger means I go slow. I loiter means I wait for some time. Okay? And out again, I curve and flow to join the brimming river. After waiting, after lingering, after loitering, again I curve. When there is a curve, the water stops there for some time, isn't it? That is why they say it is lingering and loitering. Again it curves and it flows to join the brimming river. For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. So this is an excerpt from the poem The Brook by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Alright, in a way, what did we do when we read the entire poem? We talked about the journey of the brook till it reaches the river, till it gets mixed up with the river. Okay, once it joins the river, then it is not a brook anymore. It is a river. So that is what we have learned about in this particular poem. Now we will go to some exercises which are there in your textbook, children. And the first exercise is asking us to find out meanings of the following words or phrases. So some of the meanings I will give you, and the remaining I will leave it to you and the dictionary. So when you're learning a language, the dictionary is your best friend. So go to your dictionary and find out the meanings of certain words, whereas some I will give it to you now. So the first word is ridges. So what is the meaning of ridges, children? Ridges means long, narrow hilltops or mountain ranges. So you can see the hills, they are long and they are narrow also. These are called as ridges. What about brimming? Brimming means be full to the point of overflowing. Now look at this glass of water. One more drop and the water will spill over. It will overflow. That is why we say that the glass is brimming. It is so full that it will overflow very soon. Okay? Then what is the meaning of eddying? Eddying means to move in a circular way. So you have water which moves in a circular way. Sometimes you have air. Okay? You have gas also which moves in a circular way. So eddying means moving in a circular manner. Then we have the next meaning, which is to babble. So like I told you, what is the meaning of babbling? Babbling means to talk very rapidly. So remember, these are all examples of personification. You're personifying a river or a brook because water cannot talk. Okay, so babble means to talk rapidly. Now, like I told you, there are some more meanings here. I'm sure I've told you the meanings, okay, of fallow, of trout, of netted. Even then, open your dictionary, find out the meaning, and also try to figure out how a fallow would look like. And I've already shown you the picture of a trout. Okay, so this is your assignment. Pick up your dictionary and find out the meanings to these words. Moving on, let us go to some more exercises. So you are supposed to spot and write any three alliterative phrases or sentences from the poem. Now, before we go and try to spot and write the alliterative phrases or sentences, let us try to understand what is the meaning of alliterative phrases or what is the meaning of alliterative sentences. You must have heard about the figure of speech, alliteration, isn't it? So this is very closely related to that. So let's see. Alliterative phrases and sentences are those in which the same sound is repeated. So when a particular sound is repeated again and again, then we say that they are alliterative phrases or sentences. So come on, I'll leave you to pause the video here for a second and try to find out the answer here. Try to search out for at least 3 alliterative phrases and then you can check whether your answers are correct. So the first one is, I made a sudden sally. So see the sound of S is repeated here. I made a sudden, Sally. The sound of the letter S is repeated. Let's move on and see one more sentence. The third one is your assignment. I bubble into eddying bays. I bubble into eddying bays. So what sound is repeated, children? The sound of the letter B is repeated over here. Okay, so these are some alliterative sentences. Now they asked you to find out 3 alliterative sentences. So come on, search for the third one. See which is the third alliterative sentence over here. Okay, come on, let's move on. And now we have an exercise on grammar or vocabulary, as you say. You are supposed to list out the prepositions in the poem. Now, before we go and talk about prepositions, let us try and understand what the meaning of a preposition is. So, a preposition is a word which is placed before a noun or a pronoun to show its relation with something else in the sentence. So, when you try to figure out or when you try to convey the relation between certain things, okay, then that particular word which you use is called as a preposition. Let us look at some more examples here. So see, these are all prepositions. Beside, along, at, in, across, into, after, through, to, about, under. You can find a long exhaustive list of prepositions. So all these words are prepositions. Okay, see, you can pause the video here and you can leisurely read all these words. So with, at, from, into, during, including, until, against, among, throughout, and see so many other words. The easier ones which we always use are upon, off, to, in, for, on, by, okay, before, between, behind, beyond, after. All these are examples of preposition. So I will leave you again to pause this video here and read all these words carefully. So these are all examples of prepositions. Now let's come to the exercise. What are the prepositions from the poem? I'll again give you a few examples. The remaining you'll have to do it yourself. So see, slip between the ridges is an example of a preposition. Then you have, I chatter over stony ways. So that's again an example of a preposition. I bubble into eddying bays is an example of a preposition. I babble on the pebbles. So see, between, over, into, on, these are all various examples of prepositions from the poem. If you read the poem properly, again, I'm sure you will be able to find out many more examples of preposition from this particular poem. Okay? You have one more exercise here which says, list the phrases which have the expression many a. So which are the phrases here which have the expression many a? So let me show you a few and then I will leave you to find out the others. Or you can, if you do not find those expressions in the poem, you can look at any newspaper, any magazine and try to pick up the sentences where this particular phrase is there. So from the poem you have these particular phrases, by many a field and fallow. Then you have, and many a fairy foreland set. And you also have this sentence which is, with many a silvery water break. Okay children, so see, today we saw the poem The Brook, which is lesson number 3.4 from your English textbook. We talked about the meaning of the brook, we talked a little bit about the poet, and we also read the poem and I tried to explain the meaning of the poem in the best possible manner. We also looked at many beautiful images related to the poem. And also after that, we did a few exercises in grammar and vocabulary and also on comprehension. Okay, so that is all as far as this particular lesson 3.4, the Brook, is concerned.
So children, wasn't that a wonderful video? And did you enjoy watching it? So if you want to watch more such videos in future, then please like this video and also subscribe to our channel, the MCGM Portal for Education, and also hit the bell button so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video here. Thank you so much for now. Let's meet again soon.